Canada's Strong Borders Act tough new rules to hit visa holders, migrants. Canada is entering a new chapter in immigration, population management, and civic identity. With the rollout of the Strong Borders Act and tighter visa rules, the government aims to regulate entry more strictly. At the same time, updated livability rankings and new research on citizenship values reveal a country redefining where people live and what it means to truly belong. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. Canada on Wednesday released details of its proposed Strong Borders Act, a bill that could reshape how the country handles temporary residents and asylum seekers. The legislation, if passed, would allow authorities to suspend or cancel immigration documents, introduce stricter rules on asylum eligibility, and improve information sharing across government. The proposed changes are expected to affect a wide range of immigrants, including Indian nationals, who continue to represent a large share of Canada's temporary and permanent migration flows. As of January 1, 2025, Canada had around 3.02 million temporary resident students, workers and others accounting for 7.3% of the country's total population. India remains the top source of new permanent residents, and Indian nationals are also a notable presence among asylum seekers. Total asylum claims had reached a record high of 470,029 by April 1, 2025. What is the Strong Borders Act? Introduced by Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangari on June 3, 2025, the Strong Borders Act is intended to address growing concerns over irregular border crossings, asylum backlogs, and fraud within the immigration system. The bill is structured around four key pillars. 1. Control over immigration documents. 2. Domestic information sharing. 3. Streamlined asylum claim processing. 4. Protection of asylum system integrity. Control over immigration documents. The bill proposes to give the Canadian government broad powers to cancel, suspend or modify immigration documents, such as visas, ADAs, and permits. These actions would be allowed when deemed to be in the public interest. Examples of public interest include responding to national emergencies or health risks, preventing fraud in immigration programs, addressing large-scale misuse of public services. The decision to use these powers would lie with the Governor in Council, the Governor-General acting on Cabinet advice. Changes to immigration documents would not automatically affect someone's status under existing laws. Streamlining information sharing. To reduce duplication and administrative delays, the Act proposes easier data sharing between immigration, refugees and Citizenship Canada and provincial or territorial partners. This would allow direct transfer of applicant data, enforce clear privacy rules and legal safeguards, ban provincial governments from sharing this data internationally unless authorized. Information sharing agreements will include boundaries on how the data may be used. Reforming asylum processing. The Act introduces several changes to speed up and simplify asylum decisions. Asylum claims will follow a standardized process, whether made at the border or inland. Online systems will support claim submissions. Only individuals physically present in Canada may have their claims assessed. Inactive or withdrawn claims may be cleared out quickly. Children and vulnerable claimants will receive support through designated representatives. IRB referrals will happen faster, and those choosing to leave will face quicker removals. New rules on asylum claim eligibility. Two new conditions would limit when claims can be referred to the IRB. Z-notation spot asylum seekers must apply within 1 year of entering Canada, post-June 24, 2020. Irregular entrants must apply within 14 days of crossing into Canada. Claims made after these timeframes would be ineligible, but claimants may still file for a pre-removal risk assessment. Impact on Indian nationals. While there is no specific breakdown by nationality for 2025, Indian nationals are known to be a major segment among temporary residents, especially students and workers. The new rules may bring tighter scrutiny on visa extensions and new applications, stricter timelines for those considering asylum claims, changes to how their data is shared between governments. The bill awaits parliamentary approval. Once passed, asylum ineligibility rules would apply to all claims filed on or after June 3, 2025. Officials say implementation will involve close coordination with provinces and regular assessments to track the impact of the reforms. Asylum decisions should be timely and fair, and the system must have integrity, said Gary Anandasangari, Minister of Public Safety. The government has said it will monitor the rollout to ensure vulnerable individuals are not left behind as the system changes. Canada's new immigration policies succeed in curbing population growth. Changes in immigration policy have all but halted Canada's population growth, according to numbers released by Statistics Canada. Between January 1, 2025, and April 1, 2025, Canada's population increased by only 20,107, or 0%. The reduction in population growth was largely driven by a reduction in temporary and permanent resident admissions. According to Statistics Canada, the number of temporary residents in Canada fell by 61,111 from January 1, 2025 to April 1, 2025. This small quarterly increase has not been seen since the third quarter of 2020, when the population dropped due to COVID-19 border restrictions, tied with the third quarter of 2014. In contrast, Canada's population averaged a growth rate of 0.3% between the first quarter of 2001 to the first quarter of 2024. Throughout 2024, the Canadian federal government embarked on a sustained program to reduce Canada's temporary resident levels, citing as a rationale the increased pressure on housing, social services, and other infrastructure. Below, we identify the measures the government has taken which have been driving the decrease in temporary resident population levels. Immigration measures. There are several factors that are likely contributing to the slowing quarterly population growth reported by Statistics Canada. Fewer temporary and permanent resident admissions. In October of 2024, the federal government announced that they would be reducing the number of permanent resident admissions in their 2025-27 immigration levels plan. In 2024, the permanent resident admissions target was 485,000, whereas the most recent levels plan highlights a PR admissions target of 395,000 for 2025. This year's levels plan also introduced temporary resident targets, with an overall target of 673,650 admissions for foreign workers and international student admissions. The federal government has stated that it intends to reduce the number of temporary residents in Canada to 5% of the population by the end of 2026. The first quarter of 2025 represents the sixth consecutive quarter of slowing population growth since these intended changes were announced. Cap on study permit applications. Earlier this year, the federal government announced it would be capping study permit applications, for processing, at 550,162 for 2025, from January 22, 22 to December 31. The number of study permits it aims to issue is lower yet, at 437,000, which represents a 10% decrease from the 2024 cap. Study permit caps are a relatively new immigration stabilization strategy, first introduced in 2024. To implement this cap, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada introduced provincial attestation letter requirements for most study permits submitted on January 22, 2024, onward. Moratorium on low-wage LMIAs. Certain labor market impact assessments submitted from September 26, 2024, onward will no longer be processed by Employment and Social Development Canada. This change applies to the low-wage stream of the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, and was announced in August of 2024. Applications submitted with a wage below the provincial or territorial threshold or in a census metropolitan area with a 6% or higher unemployment rate will not be processed. The federal government releases a list of CMAs and their corresponding unemployment rate quarterly. Without an LMIA, employers are unable to hire a foreign national through the TFWP, and a TFWP will not be permitted to renew their work permit. Restricted eligibility for spousal open work permits. As of January 2025, the federal government announced that only spouses of certain international students and foreign workers can apply for an open work permit. Spousal OWPs for spouses of international students have been restricted to the spouses of those enrolled in master's programs that are 16 months or longer in duration, doctoral programs, and certain select professional programs, such as nursing, engineering, and law. Additionally, foreign workers must be working in training, education, experience, and responsibilities 0 or 1 occupations, or select in-demand TER 2 and 3 occupations for their spouse to be eligible for an OWP. The foreign worker must have a work permit that will be valid for at least 16 months at the time their spouse applies for an OWP. Post-graduation work permit eligibility restrictions. In 2024, IRCC changed the eligibility requirements for post-graduation work permits. Effective November 1, 2024, international student graduates seeking PGWPs were required to meet certain field of study and language proficiency requirements in addition to other criteria. Unless an international student study program is exempt, They must have graduated from a program linked to labor shortage market in order to be eligible for a PGWP, if they applied for their study permit after November 1, 2024. Top 10 Most Livable Cities in Canada 2025, new list. Top 10 Most Livable Cities in Canada 2025. Canada's cities are renowned for their high quality of life, blending urban vibrancy with natural beauty. The Economist Intelligence Unit's Global Livability Index 2025, released on June 16, 2025, highlights Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary among the world's top 20 most livable cities, but it doesn't provide a definitive top 10 list for Canada. To fill this gap, we've curated the top 10 most livable cities in Canada for 2025, combining EIU's global rankings with insights from the most recent, The Globe and Mail's Canadian Livability List and other credible sources. This video enlists Canada's top 10 most livable cities in 2025 as well as the top 10 most livable cities in the world for 2025. What makes a city livable? The EIU's Global Livability Index evaluates 173 cities worldwide on a 1 to 100 scale across 5 weighted categories: stability, 25% crime rates, political stability, and safety; healthcare, 20% access to quality medical services and public health outcomes; culture and environment, 25% recreation, climate, cultural diversity, and environmental quality; education, 10% access to quality schools and higher education; infrastructure, 20% transportation networks, housing, and utilities. In 2025, the global average score is 76.1, with Canadian cities consistently scoring above 80, reflecting exceptional livability. However, healthcare strains, noted by the EIU, have lowered scores for Vancouver, 10th globally, 95.8, Toronto, 16th, 90, and Calgary, 18th, 94.7. This curated list prioritizes cities with strong global and national performance, balancing urban hubs with smaller, community-focused centers. Full list of top 10 most livable cities in Canada 2025. Below is our curated list of Canada's top 10 most livable cities for 2025, presented in a reader-friendly table, followed by detailed profiles. The rankings draw on EIU 2025 scores for Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, and Montreal, supplemented by the Globe and Mail's data and historical EIU trends for other cities. Note, scores are confirmed for Vancouver, 95.8, Calgary, 94.7, and estimated for Toronto, 90, and Montreal, 80, 19th globally, based on EIU 2025 trends. 1. Vancouver, British Columbia, estimated score, 95.8. Global rank, 10th, EIU 2025. Why it ranks high? Vancouver's breathtaking setting between mountains and the Pacific Ocean earns a perfect culture and environment score. Its multicultural vibrancy, top-tier universities, e.g., UBC, and bike-friendly transit make it Canada's livability leader. Reclaiming North America's top spot from Calgary in 2025, Vancouver shines despite healthcare strains lowering its score. Challenges: high housing costs and hospital wait times are hurdles, offset by sustainability initiatives like Greenest City 2020. For Canadians, ideal for eco-conscious residents and outdoor enthusiasts, Vancouver's global prestige is a source of pride. 2. Calgary, Alberta, estimated score, 94.7. Global rank, 18th, EIU 2025. Why it ranks high? Calgary's affordability, robust economy, and proximity to the Rockies secure its high ranking, despite a drop from 5th to 18th globally due to healthcare declines. The Calgary Stampede and C-Train Transit enhance its appeal, while its 7th place in the Globe and Mail's 2024 list underscores affordability. Challenges: healthcare access and harsh winters are drawbacks, though green space investments like Nose Hill Park bolster livability. For Canadians, Calgary's lower costs and outdoor access attract families and adventurers. 3. Toronto, Ontario, estimated score, 90. Global rank, 16th, EIU 2025. Why it ranks high? Toronto's diversity, economic opportunities, and cultural richness, think Toronto International Film Festival and Caribana, make it a livability powerhouse. The University of Toronto and TTC Transit are strengths, but healthcare strains dropped it from 12th to 16th. Its 82nd place in the Globe and Mail's 2024 list reflects housing challenges. Challenges: high living costs and traffic congestion persist, though projects like the Ontario Line aim to improve mobility. For Canadians, Toronto's job market and cultural vibrancy suit young professionals. 4. North Vancouver, British Columbia, estimated score, 85. Why it ranks high? Topping the Globe and Mail's list, North Vancouver excels in amenities, community, and nature access, with trails like Grouse Grind and proximity to Vancouver's urban core. Strong safety and education scores make it family-friendly. Challenges: high housing costs and limited job diversity compared to larger cities. For Canadians, perfect for nature lovers seeking urban proximity and community spirit. 5. The Victoria, British Columbia, estimated score, 84. Why it ranks high. Third in the Globe and Mail's list and named Canada's most livable city for newcomers, Victoria boasts a mild climate, vibrant amenities, and quality healthcare. Its walkable downtown and cultural hubs like the Royal BC Museum enhance appeal. Challenges: high housing costs and a smaller job market limit appeal for some. For Canadians, ideal for retirees and newcomers valuing climate and culture. 6. West Vancouver, British Columbia, estimated score, 83. Why it ranks high. Second in the Globe and Mail's list, West Vancouver offers safety, stunning ocean views, and strong community ties. High-quality schools and low crime rates make it a haven for families. Challenges: exorbitant housing prices and reliance on Vancouver for jobs. For Canadians, suits affluent families prioritizing safety and environment. 7. Ottawa, Ontario, estimated score, 82. Why it ranks high. Ottawa's historical EIU performance and stable economy, driven by government jobs, place it high. Top universities, e.g., UOTTAWA, cultural sites like the National Gallery, and extensive bike paths support livability. Its absence from the Globe and Mail's top 15 suggests housing challenges. Challenges: cold winters and a less vibrant cultural scene than Toronto. For Canadians, appeals to professionals and families seeking stability. 8. Montreal, Quebec, estimated score, 80. Why it ranks high. Likely 19th globally in EIU 2025, Montreal's bilingual culture, affordable housing, and art scene bolstered by festivals like Just for Laughs shine. McGill University and vibrant nightlife enhance appeal, though healthcare strains align with national trends. Challenges: aging infrastructure and harsh winters are drawbacks. For Canadians, attracts creatives and students with its affordability. 9. Oakville, Ontario, estimated score, 80. Why it ranks high. 10th in the Globe and Mail's list, Oakville offers safety, a strong economy, and community vibrancy. Proximity to Toronto, quality schools, and waterfront parks make it family-friendly. Challenges: high housing costs and reliance on Toronto for jobs. For Canadians, ideal for families seeking suburban livability near urban hubs. 10. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, estimated score, 79. Why it ranks high. 6th in the Globe and Mail's 2024 list, Saskatoon excels in affordability, community, and education, with the University of Saskatchewan as a draw. Its cultural scene, including the Remain Modern, adds appeal. Challenges: harsh winters and a smaller job market. For Canadians, suits budget-conscious families and students. The EIU's 2025 report, while global in scope, only ranks 4 Canadian cities: Vancouver, 10th, Toronto, 16th, Calgary, 18th, and possibly Montreal, 19th. By curating a Canada-specific top 10, we address the demand for a national perspective, integrating EIU's rigorous methodology with the Globe and Mail's focus on smaller communities. This list highlights Canada's diverse livability, from Vancouver's global prestige to Oakville's suburban charm, resonating with readers across provinces. Comparing Canada's top 3 to global leaders. To contextualize Canada's livability, here's a table comparing Vancouver, Calgary, and Toronto to the EIU's top 2 cities, Copenhagen, first, and Vienna, second, based on 2025 data and estimates. Insights: Vancouver's perfect culture score rivals Copenhagen, but healthcare lags. Calgary's healthcare decline drove its global drop, though affordability bolsters it domestically. Toronto's infrastructure score reflects congestion, unlike Vienna's perfection. The top 10 most livable cities in the world 2025. The 2025 EIU Global Livability Index highlights the world's most livable cities, with Copenhagen leading the pack. Below is a table summarizing the top 10, followed by detailed profiles of each city, including Vancouver's standout performance. The table provides global rank, city, country, overall score, and key strengths for quick reference. Challenges facing Canada's livable cities. The EIU's 2025 report identifies healthcare as the primary challenge, with Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, and Montreal seeing score declines due to long wait times, staffing shortages, and hospital overcrowding. Other challenges include housing costs. Vancouver and Toronto's high prices contrast with Calgary and Saskatoon's affordability. Climate, harsh winters in Montreal and Saskatoon challenge appeal, unlike Victoria's mild climate. Infrastructure, Montreal's aging roads and Toronto's congestion require investment, unlike Ottawa's robust systems. Trends shaping Canada's livability in 2025. Key trends influencing Canada's livable cities include: healthcare strains, national healthcare challenges demand investment to sustain rankings. Affordability appeal, smaller cities like Saskatoon and Oakville attract cost-conscious residents. Sustainability leadership, Vancouver and Victoria's green initiatives align with global leaders. Community focus, North Vancouver and West Vancouver's community ties resonate with Canadian values. Newcomer inclusivity, Victoria's top ranking for newcomers highlights Canada's welcoming ethos. Practical tips for choosing a livable Canadian city. For Canadians considering relocation or curious about their city's ranking, here's how to choose. Define priorities. Families may favor safety and education, Oakville, North Vancouver. Professionals seek jobs and culture, Toronto, Vancouver. Assess costs. Calgary and Saskatoon offer affordability, Vancouver and West Vancouver are pricier. Consider climate. Victoria's mild weather suits retirees, Calgary's winters appeal to adventurers. Visit first, test a city's vibe, Montreal's artsy charm versus Ottawa's stability. Check healthcare, confirm medical access, given 2025's national challenges. Canada's top 10 most livable cities for 2025, led by Vancouver, Calgary, and Toronto, showcase the nation's urban excellence. Blending EIU's global rankings with the Globe and Mail's insights, this list highlights diverse cities from North Vancouver's nature-rich community to Montreal's cultural vibrancy. As Canada navigates healthcare and housing challenges, these cities remain beacons of livability, inspiring residents to celebrate and enhance their urban homes. Which is the most livable city in Canada? Vancouver is Canada's most livable city in 2025, ranking 10th globally in the EIU Livability Index with a score of 95.8, excelling in culture and environment. What are the Canada's livable cities in the Economist Intelligence Unit? The EIU 2025 Livability Index lists Vancouver, 10th, Toronto, 16th, Calgary, 18th, and possibly Montreal, 19th, as Canada's livable cities, with scores above 80. What is the best Canadian city to live in? Vancouver is considered the best Canadian city to live in for 2025, due to its global top 10 ranking, natural beauty, and vibrant culture, despite high costs. What are the 10 most livable cities in the world? The EIU 2025 top 10 are: 1. Copenhagen, Denmark, 98.0. 2. Vienna, Austria, 97. 3. Zurich, Switzerland, 97. 4. Melbourne, Australia, 96. 5. Geneva, Switzerland, 95. 6. Sydney, Australia, 94.5. 7. Osaka, Japan, 94. 8. Auckland, New Zealand, 94. 9. Adelaide, Australia, 93.5. 10. Vancouver, Canada, 95.8. Canadian citizenship is more than convenience, new study reveals truth. For years, some have labeled Canadian citizenship as a mere stepping stone, a convenient way for immigrants to secure a powerful passport before leaving for better opportunities elsewhere. However, a groundbreaking Statistics Canada report, released in May 2025, challenges this narrative. The study, based on immigration and tax filing data, reveals that Canadian citizenship reflects a deep commitment to the country, with most naturalized immigrants staying long-term. Key findings of the Statistics Canada report. The Statistics Canada report, titled An Analysis of Immigrants' Active Presence in Canada, tracks individuals 10 years after their arrival. Active presence refers to immigrants who file taxes in Canada, indicating they are likely still residing in the country or maintaining strong ties. Here's what the study found. High retention rates. Among immigrants aged 25 to 54 who arrived between 2008 and 2012, 93% of those who became citizens were actively present in Canada a decade later, compared to 67% of non-citizens. Improved retention over time. Immigrants from the 2008 to 2012 cohort showed higher retention rates than those from 2003 to 2007, 91% for citizens, 58% for non-citizens, suggesting newer immigrants are more likely to stay. Country of origin matters. Immigrants from developing nations, like the Philippines, 97% active presence, were more likely to stay than those from developed countries, such as the US or France, around 87%. Education and mobility. Highly educated immigrants and those who didn't pursue citizenship were more likely to leave, reflecting global mobility among skilled individuals. Citizenship as commitment. The data debunks the idea of Canadians of convenience, showing that citizenship is a sign of long-term dedication to Canada. Andrew Griffith, a Canadian citizenship expert, emphasizes, the notion that people just grab a passport and leave is largely a myth. Citizenship reflects a deeper connection to Canada. Why Canadian citizenship matters. Canadian citizenship offers more than just a passport. It provides access to benefits like voting rights, social services, and the ability to travel freely with one of the world's most respected passports. However, the process to become a citizen is rigorous, requiring at least 3 years of residency in Canada within the last 5 years. Proficiency in English or French. Passing a citizenship test. Taking an oath of allegiance. These requirements ensure that those who become citizens are invested in Canada's values and future. The Statistics Canada report suggests these rules are effective, as most naturalized citizens remain in the country, contributing to its economy and society. Who stays and who leaves? The report highlights key differences in who stays in Canada after gaining citizenship. 1. Country of origin. Immigrants from developing countries, such as the Philippines, 97% active presence, Pakistan, and Colombia, showed higher retention rates. Those from developed nations, like the US, France, and the UK, were more likely to leave, around 10% lower retention than Filipinos. Among non-citizens, retention varied less by country and more by other factors like education or immigration class. 2. Education and skills. Highly educated immigrants, especially those with graduate degrees, were less likely to stay if they didn't pursue citizenship. This reflects their global mobility and access to opportunities elsewhere. Economic immigrants, selected for skills, also showed lower retention if they remained non-citizens. 3. Time to citizenship. Immigrants who took longer to become citizens were more likely to leave after naturalization, possibly due to weaker initial ties to Canada. Daniel Bernhard, CEO of the Institute for Canadian Citizenship, notes, highly skilled immigrants have global options. If Canada can't offer a better life, affordable housing, career growth, they'll take their talents elsewhere. The myth of Canadians of convenience. The phrase, Canadians of convenience, suggests immigrants exploit citizenship for benefits like a passport, then leave. The Statistics Canada report challenges this stereotype. Tax filing as a proxy. The study uses tax filings to measure active presence. Since citizens gain access to benefits by filing taxes, it's unlikely they'd stop after naturalization unless they left Canada. High retention among citizens, with 93% of naturalized immigrants still active after 10 years, the data shows most citizens stay committed. Inactive immigrants, among those without tax records, likely indicating departure, only 28% had citizenship. For example, 50% of inactive Iranian immigrants were citizens, compared to just 14% of inactive Americans. These findings suggest citizenship is not a grab-and-go tool but a marker of long-term integration. Challenges for Canada's future. While the report paints a positive picture, it also highlights challenges. Declining citizenship uptake. Fewer immigrants are pursuing citizenship, possibly due to global mobility or dissatisfaction with opportunities in Canada. Economic pressures, rising costs, especially for housing, make it harder for immigrants to build a stable life. Bernhard warns, if Canada can't provide a better future, immigrants will leave. Retaining talent. With highly educated immigrants being more mobile, Canada must compete globally to keep skilled workers. Griffith suggests Canada's citizenship policies strike a good balance but could be revisited to ensure they remain meaningful. For example, debates continue about updating the citizenship oath or adjusting residency requirements. What this means for immigrants and Canada. For immigrants, the report underscores that Canadian citizenship is a pathway to belonging, not just convenience. It offers stability, rights, and a sense of community. For Canada, retaining immigrants, especially skilled ones, is critical for economic growth and cultural diversity. The government could consider streamlining citizenship processes to encourage uptake. Addressing affordability issues, like housing, to make staying in Canada more appealing. Promoting Canada's unique benefits, such as safety, healthcare, and multiculturalism, to compete with global opportunities. A new perspective on Canadian citizenship. The Statistics Canada report reshapes how we view Canadian citizenship. Far from being a mere convenience, it's a symbol of commitment for most immigrants who choose to stay and build lives in Canada. While challenges like affordability and global competition persist, the data shows Canada's citizenship policies are largely effective. By addressing economic barriers and promoting its strengths, Canada can continue to be a welcoming home for immigrants who see it as more than just a passport. Who is more likely to stay in Canada after 10 years? Naturalized citizens, 93% active presence, and immigrants from developing countries, like the Philippines, are most likely to stay. How hard is it to become a Canadian citizen? Applicants need 3 years of residency in the last 5, language proficiency, a citizenship test, and an oath of allegiance. Why is citizenship uptake declining? Factors include global mobility among skilled immigrants and challenges like high living costs in Canada. Canada is striking a careful balance between welcoming newcomers and preserving social stability. From livability to legal status, the evolving policies reflect a broader national conversation about growth, inclusion, and responsibility. The future of Canadian immigration and citizenship now rests on aligning values with sustainable progress. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.